This week we're having a look at creating cables and charts in a style which is used quite a lot in Russia and Eastern Europe, which we have an example of here. Knit stitches being represented by vertical dashes, purls by horizontal dashes, and you can see we've got quite a few cable stitches here. And we've been asked for advice on how to create charts looking like this a couple of times, so we thought a video might be useful. In Stitch Mastery at the moment I've got a chart with a couple of cables and a couple of purl stitches, and the first thing I'm going to do to create a bit of the look of the other chart is to come into Diagram, Edit Diagram Properties, click on the Stitch Library and Text Templates tab, and in the drop down for Stitch Library I'm going to choose the Stitch Mastery English library, and I will refresh the text in key because I have text in the key that may change. Click OK and you see the chart updates. So all of my knit stitches have become the vertical dash and purl stitches are the horizontal dash, and you'll notice that our 1x1 right cross cable with a purl stitch has changed. The symbol is slightly different to that of the dot English version of the libraries, but our 2x2 right cross hasn't changed, but neither of these look quite how is being requested, but we can customise the stitches to replicate the look. So I'm coming to Tools and Preferences. As always, if you're using a Mac, then you'll find Preferences under the Stitch Mastery menu here in the top left, but on Windows and Linux it's under Tools and click Preferences. I've got my stitch libraries here. You may find that this drop down menu is closed when you first open the dialog, but open the drop down arrow, click on Stitch Libraries, and if we look in my user libraries for version 3, I don't have a dash English version, so I don't have a user library set up based on the dash library, and neither do I have an old version that I can convert. So what I'm going to do is come into the Stitch Mastery libraries, the default libraries, click on the dash English and extend that. So I'll just put in a couple of things to help me recognise and find it. I can just go in the Stitch Mastery Files folder and we'll call this Hannah English so that I can recognise that as separate from other user libraries that I have. So I've clicked Apply and Close and we get the Stitch Library open. So first of all, if we scroll to the 2 stitch cables, so we have that 1x1 right purl cross. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this stitch so that I always have the original still available in my user library. And most of the items can remain the same. You can of course change the name to suit exactly how you would like to refer to it. But if we come to Edit Appearance, so first up we will clear the cell area. And we've got the Stitch Mastery cable EH open. So if we quickly scroll through these symbols, you'll see we've not got exactly what we're looking for, but we can use the drop down menu to open Stitch Mastery cable, and that has all of the symbols that we need. So in this stitch we have one vertical line for the knit, and then we have the purl stitch, so we have horizontal lines available. And we've also got a few different options for the cable. So you can see there are some options where the lines are coming up at both sides. We've got this one here where the horizontal line is coming right to the very edge of the stitch as though it would connect to another stitch. And then we've also got the one that we will use just now, which is the horizontal line but not coming fully to the edge of the stitch. So to place that stitch, we first of all want to come and highlight the first cell. So clicking down with the left mouse or tracker pad button and holding that down as you drag down to the bottom opposite corner and then click on the stitch symbol. And to get the rest of that stitch we will do the same, so making sure we've got the full area selected and highlighted, and so this one is stopping part way through the stitch and not connecting all the way as the one there does. And then we will actually, while we've got this one highlighted, we can put in our vertical dash for the knit stitch and highlight the first cell again and pop in our horizontal dash for the purl stitch. So we can click OK, click OK again, and we see that this is going to save in the 2 stitch cables drawer, and it appears at the end of the list. And then if we scroll, the other stitch in our chart is the 2x2 right cross in the 4 stitch cables drawer. So again we'll duplicate that, edit appearance, and again using the Stitch Mastery dash cable, clear the cells area. So first of all we'll put in our middle cable parts, so the parts with the cross. So for this one we want to use the symbol that's coming right to the very edge of the stitch because it's going to connect on to another horizontal part of the stitch. So we want this one here, which as you can see is coming right flush with the right edge of the cell but not to the full left of the cell. You see it a little bit more clearly here. And again for the top part we'll use the one that's not coming fully to the right edge, and the remainder of the cross we'll use this one here, which is connecting all the way through. And you'll spot as well that we've got horizontal lines for top and bottom that extend fully across. So if this was 3x3, then we could use those symbols to fully bridge the gap between these 2 stitches. And this is our 2x2 right cross, so all knit stitches, so we'll just pop in the vertical dash in each of these cells for the 4, to represent the fact that it's 4 knit stitches being worked. Pop that in there. So click OK, and it appears at the bottom of my 4 stitch cables drawer. Click OK, and we'll click Apply and Close. Now because we've just created a new user library, then we want to tell Stitch Mastery we want to use that particular library in this chart. So again I've gone to Diagram, Edit Diagram Properties, open the Stitch Library and Text Templates tab, and we'll choose the Hannah based on Stitch Mastery English. Refresh the text in key, clicking OK. Nothing different to see just yet, but if we open the 2 stitch cables drawer, then we'll find my copy of the stitch that I can pop in here, and the 4 stitch cables drawer we have the new version of the 2x2 right crossing cable. So you can see we've got the diagonal line matching the direction as needed, the knit being the first stitch that will work, followed by the purl, which will be behind the crossed stitch. So hopefully that explains how to set up the chart to suit the different style and gives you all the tools that you need. If you're new to customising stitches or creating a user stitch library, I'll link to a few videos in the description bar below to help you with those stages if this video was a little bit too fast. Hope it helps.